Our Region's Business is sponsored by PNC for the Achiever in You. Welcome to Our Region's Business with your host, Bill Flanagan.
Well, today on Our Region's Business, we're on the road in Somerset County at the Georgian Inn of Somerset, a restored mansion that serves up fine food and lodging to travelers passing through Somerset on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. The mansion was built in 1915 by a Somerset County native son named D.B. Zimmerman, who made a fortune raising cattle in North Dakota and coal mining here at home. Well, today, energy and agriculture remain big drivers of the Somerset County economy. There's likely to see windmills and natural gas wells dotting the countryside as you are to see cattle and corn. Local farmers are cashing in on the farm-to-table movement here, and coming up today, we'll find out how that's impacted family farmers here on the Somerset Plateau, as well as all across our region. We're also here in the eastern part of our region to learn more about the Pittsburgh Zoo's efforts to save the elephant, with an international conservation center just a few miles from here. But first, the legacy of Flight 93. 13 years ago this month, the hijacked jetliner crashed just about 20 miles from here, bringing international terrorism home to a peaceful Pennsylvania county. In the years since, work's been underway to complete a full-fledged national memorial. The site already attracts about 300,000 visitors a year, a number that's expected to grow when the memorial is complete. Jeff Reinbold is superintendent of Western Pennsylvania Parks for the National Park Service. And Donna Glessner has stepped up early on to organize volunteer ambassadors to share the site with visitors. She now serves as an officer of the Friends of Flight 93. Welcome, good to see you both.
Thank you.
Good to see you, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of progress made over the last 13 years in realizing the vision for a national memorial.
It is. We're building an entire national park site out there. It includes roads and the memorial features, and there's a lot of people who really have stepped up to help make this a possibility, from the family members who were involved from the very beginning, community members, and many people that we've met along the way who've really helped make this a reality. So we opened the majority of the memorial in 2011, on the 10th anniversary, and right now we have the Visitor Center and the Learning Center, which are really the crowning pieces of the memorial, well underway, and we look forward to finishing those for next September 11th.
In time for the anniversary next year. And I would take it, once you've got a visitor center, an education center, the visitation's likely to increase even more.
Yeah, we think so. Up to this point, a lot of people really have come to pay their respects. Very emotional time. Many of us remember, obviously, where we were that day, and people want to come out and they want to talk to us. They want to tell us where they were and what their memories and recollections are. But somewhere in the last couple of years, people have started to ask more questions too. Maybe memories have gotten a little fuzzier. People want to know about the investigation and the recovery and some of what was found here and what it means. And so the Visitor Center is really going to be the place where we'll have a chance to do that, in a separate education facility, so that next generation of kids who already don't have firsthand experience, they're already coming to visit us. So we're excited to get both of these facilities open, and you're right, we expect the visitation will probably go up another 100 to 200,000 once those are completed in September of 15.
Well, I guess in the meantime, and up until this time, it's your ambassadors, Donna, and you who've been kind of the ones carrying on the knowledge of what happened that day.
Right. What an honor for local community members to be part of building this national memorial and telling this story. The National Park Service now has rangers on site, but the ambassadors, who are local volunteers, are an integral part of the operation, I would say, and still the park appreciates the local story that can be told there, although that certainly is not the story. It's not about us. It's about the passengers and crew and their actions that day in the sky.
Sure, but the people here in Somerset County and your volunteers, they do really seem to have embraced this, almost with a sense of responsibility to help share. We're all Americans. We all share this story. Where were you the day it happened?
Well, I was at my home, which is about 3 miles from the crash site, and certainly felt the impact of the plane crashing. Even at that distance, the house shook, the windows rattled, and had children home with me. We went out onto the yard, and under that beautiful blue sky, it just didn't seem possible that something bad could be happening on a day like that, but could hear the sound of the siren calling our local volunteers to respond. Our electricity went out because there were power lines that went right across the crash site. So there was a brief time there where you couldn't even return to the television where everyone was watching the events around the country.
And people began to come immediately. So tell me a little bit about
They
the
did.
evolution of this
Well,
ambassador.
Yes, certainly people came even before the investigation was over and couldn't get close at all to the crash site and began visiting Shanksville. And then as the investigation ended and the roads reopened, people were approaching the crash site and actually were somewhat in the way of the restoration of this site. And so a temporary memorial was established at some little distance away where you could view the crash site itself but not be right on it. And it was filled with people from all over the country wanting to pay their respects and wanting to understand what happened. And observing that reaction from people and the lack of information they had and how many people were lost even just getting back out of that site led me to think that we needed to establish a volunteer group since the National Park Service wasn't yet active at the site. So we began a schedule of volunteers that had some limited amount of training about what to say, how to answer people's questions, and were there at the memorial to talk with the visitors. And in those early months, I would say we were primarily helping people get back to, as they said, civilization, and finding the nearest gas station and listening to people's stories was a big, big part of it. Everyone wanted to tell you about their feelings about 9/11, where they were that day, and how they felt about the attacks.
You know, we're 13 years later. I guess I wonder, you know, what does it mean to you, to the other ambassadors, to be in a way custodians for these stories and for this important national monument?
It's a huge responsibility. I feel every day that I have to be exactly on top of the facts. I don't want to ever tell anybody something that isn't verifiable and isn't appropriate to be shared. And that's been, I think, the motto of all the volunteers there, that we want to be worthy of that site.
Wow, and it has to be a tremendous asset to the National Park Service to have this kind of community support, Jeff.
Yeah, we're incredibly fortunate. I mean, it's such a responsibility to care for that site, but to know that we have people like the ambassadors and the volunteers with us. Many of the people Donna talked about have been with us for 12 or 13 years. They're still out there now. And they really have grown with this memorial and helped create it. And the architecture is only part of the story there. It really is the chance to come out and be able to talk to somebody. And many of those people are part of the story. They lived in the community. Our visitors love to hear from them, what it was like to be in this area. But the dedication they show throughout all of our operation. I mean, we don't do this without an amazing volunteer base, and we are incredibly fortunate that the community has stuck behind this and really taken ownership of the site and been our complete partners in completing the memorial and presenting it to the public.
All right, and a wonderful place to visit, and hopefully everybody in our region will have a chance to check it out if they haven't already. If not this year, certainly next year when the new Visitor Center opens.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Jeff Reinbold from the National Park Service, Donna Glessner from the Friends of Flight 93. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, saving the elephant right here in our region. Stay with us.